Well, it might look like a classic truck channel, but it's not. It's a day in the shop. Just got in, getting this place opened up so we can start the show. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jimmy if you're new here. We're gonna fix a bunch of cars. We're busy, we're short-handed, someone's on vacation. Just became a granddad for the second time, so he went up to Alaska to visit his daughter and grandchild. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna have extra work. We'll see what happens with that. Sometimes that's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse, because even though there's potential to make more money, fix more cars and all that, it still has to go smoothly. It doesn't really matter. I could be here by myself with nobody else here, and if it's hectic and chaotic and just doesn't feel like it has a flow to it, then I won't make any more money than I normally would. Last year I averaged 52 hours a week, so we'll see what happens this week. It'll be the first week with Joe not here. I'm gonna try to do at least my 52-hour week, I hope. Yesterday was a little up and down. Nothing really great happened, nothing terrible. We'll see what happens today. I'll put some clips in so you'll have a good idea what to expect in this video today. Cadillac CTS. Look at this 2008 Hyundai AZERA. Toyota Corolla. I know we'll be messing with the Misfire PO300 code in this 2014 Tahoe I started on yesterday. I finished the oil change, but we got to do the diag still. I don't know what other clips you saw. Maybe something on that 70 Chevy pickup truck with the LS engine. I'm gonna finish getting the shop open up so we can learn a thing or two, have some fun, and have a video filled with drama, chaos, suspense, agony, victory, all of that stuff. Let's do it. Stay tuned. In today's video, we're going to use the auto fix for any diags we do. So let's do the updates. I'm wondering if it'll go through them all, or I'll have to tell it to, but I think it's going to go through them all. It's taking some time, but once you do the system program, then you can do update all. Alright, this one's taking a little long, and some of them aren't working. We're going to have to retry some. So we're going to use the Phoenix Lite 2 until that's finished updating, and then we'll use that the rest of the day. I'm going to try to use different scanners every day. I haven't used that one in about 6-8 weeks, so it's got a lot of updates. Anyway, I got the Phoenix Lite 2 hooked up on this Tahoe from yesterday, and it was misfiring pretty bad on cylinder 6. And I can still, when you see this graph, let's just bring up a couple of cylinders. We'll take 3 off of there, we'll put 6. We'll just compare it to 2 good cylinders. 1 good cylinder, I mean. Cylinder 6 and cylinder 4, they're right next to each other. You can feel it. I can feel the engine go every time you see the graph jump up with a misfire. There's no way to show you that on camera, but so, and it was worse cold. It feels like it gets a little better when it warms up. So let's go to cylinder 6, see what that spark plug looks like. I'm gonna pause this. Don't want to get it too hot. We'll pull that spark plug out and take a look. If it looks a little rich and maybe a little bit like gas, then yeah, we're gonna lean towards spark. If the plug looks a little dry, like it's getting good combustion, we're gonna lean towards injector. And if it looks a little sooty, like it's not burning efficiently, we'll lean towards compression. We'll get our compression gauge. 6 is the third one back on this side. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, that's not good. It's consuming oil in that cylinder. So, is it consuming oil because it's not burning well? Or is it consuming oil because the cylinder has a problem? Let's throw a spark plug in it and see how it runs. This is not original like I thought it might be. NGK doesn't come in these. But I got a decent used spark plug. I'm going to throw in there real quick, see how it runs. First I'm going to bring up my data. Not even going to trust my butt. See how it feels. I'm going to watch the misfire screen. We'll bring that up and we'll fire this thing up. Well, it already feels like it runs better by the butt. We're going to see how it feels by the misfire counter too. Those couple of misfires were probably from how nasty the combustion chamber is probably looking right now. What this thing's probably going to need is a good tune-up and an induction service. and then it may be okay. We're gonna let that screen run till its heart's content. It doesn't have a heart, just kidding about that part. But we're gonna let this run way past a minute or two and see if these misfires stay near zero. We might get one here and one there. I put a used spark plug out of my toolbox in it that I had, so just want to see how it runs. You don't, a lot of people would just put a compression gauge in and do all this other extra testing, but in my mind, being in the flat rate world, I got a spark plug, put it in there and see how it runs. And then if it didn't run well, then of course I'm going to do a compression test and that kind of thing afterwards. So I mean, it's way better. I can feel it's better. I can see it's better. So we're going to recommend a tune-up and induction service, maybe some spark plug wires. A lot of times these Chevys, when you're pulling them off the plug, it'll rip the end off the wire. So it's a good idea to change the wires. No extra labor while we're in there tuning it up. So we'll see what happens with this one. Beautiful ocean sunset. 2012 Cadillac CTS. 99,000 miles. Low rating is 7. He says he hears brake noises. I don't hear them, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have them. Could mean he has a different noise than brakes, but he thinks that's what it is. It's hard to say. I drove it a little bit. The problem is it's also very wet out still this morning. No rain, but all the rain yesterday has really gotten everything wet. I gotta back it up a little bit using Joe's lift. Oh, I got approval on the shifter and cables for the Volkswagen. And then we're going to see if there's something also wrong with the clutch, because I smelled the clutch burning last week. I got approval for a little more time on this. They're working on the tune-up stuff on that. I got that transit connector to look at eventually. The customer with the Infiniti says he wants to put a rack in it. He's going to bring us a used rack apparently to try. I don't have a good vibe going with that, but we'll see. Hopefully I'll put a used rack in it and it'll fix it. I don't want it to not work out. I just don't think used ones and something that complicated and complex is a good idea. He didn't ask about the door not working. That's interesting. Oh, something happened. That's weird that it's in here for a brake noise I can't hear and the door doesn't work. Oh well, I'm trapped. Thanks for watching. I'll probably starve to death in here. I started it and shut it off a couple of times and it let me out. Let's see if he wants to mess with any of that. Uh-oh. He might still be in there hanging out. Let's take a look. I'm not in here for that. But that can cause a problem. I have to clean that mess up, put some gloves on. I only saw that because I'm doing the inspection, looking at brake fluid and stuff. When you do a brake check, you got to check all that, make sure it's not contaminated. Look for rubber on the cap to be swollen, or if there's any kind of oil or any foreign chemicals in there, this rubber will swell. Don't put it on backwards. I'm gonna lift it up, get these wheels off of here, see if we can see something. No need to pull these wheels off because this car's got brand new brakes all the way around, pads and rotors. I'm not sure if we did them or someone else, but they're brand new. And this car sits a lot, as you saw by the mouse nests. So it's about ready for tires. Not quite, really close. I am gonna have to go drive it and see if he's hearing a noise from long-term storage or if there's actually a problem. Everyone always says I have a brake noise, but that doesn't really, well, this rotor looks like it got a little red. See the discoloration? Let's see what the other one looks like. Yeah, it's similar. Not quite as much, but very close. Hard to say. I'm gonna have to go drive it. I drove it a short ways before bringing it in, but I'm gonna drive it further. All right, a few more miles, we'll be back at the shop. Somehow I got shocks and struts. I don't know how that happened. I guess I recommended them. Oh boy. Look at this 2008 Hyundai AZERA. Car is in excellent shape, 146,000 miles. All it needs is a headlight treatment. The headlights are pretty bad, but the car is beautiful inside and out. Customer's waiting. Shocks, struts, wheel alignment. And they're waiting. It's kind of weird, but let's get to it. That way, you shouldn't have to wait too long. I think I remember this car. You guys remember it from a few weeks ago? Let's stop that door chime. It's 4 hours for all the shocks and struts. I'm not sure. They must be pretty easy, I guess. Well, they're ready struts too, so that helps. Let's see if we can beat that. 9:45. Well, that is a complicated little doodad. Looks like a cookie jar. Hopefully I don't get caught with my hand in it. This is obviously a wishbone, like a Honda style setup. Clamps the strut, which doesn't come with the base on it, so you got to separate that. You can see where the bolt passes through the notch. There's a bolt back here, but I don't think you can just take the bolt out and lift it out of this. Bolt on the bottom. Maybe I can take the bolt out of the bottom, the bolt out of here, and move this down to clear it. That's what we're gonna try. That will allow it to move quite a bit more. Look at it. This is what... Have I pointed this out before? Engineers? But this is Matsumoto and Masami. That much. It's funny. They don't do it on purpose. Don't be upset with them. I got a Korean now. I work on so many Hyundais and Kias. Although this is just maintenance. Any of my Korean viewers, give me some Korean names, because I'm using Japanese names. That's not really fair. Howdy, Chuck. That's the pinch bolt. I think 19 on the bottom bolt, right down there. Don't put your head in the wheel well. It's really loud. You think it's loud on video? Whew. A wrench can be a hammer, especially a quality gear wrench like this one. Use it as a punch. I've had this screwdriver since the 80s. Yeah, I'm old. I gotta remember to put the stabilizer link back in there before I button her all up. Some of these wires and stuff I might have to remove just to get this wishbone to release a little bit. And what else will help is a little bit of this, a little magic sauce. Got that out of there. So this will let my ABS, there's plenty of slack on the other side. Man, love it when a plan comes together. All I should have to do now is unbolt those 3 bolts in the engine compartment. Now we can get it down from underneath, I think. Well, the arm doesn't want to let it out. What do you do now? Or lift this up. There you go. That's something that thing's a little heavy for an old man.
But yeah, let me get my old license.
Whew, I'm out of practice. So I haven't done a ready strut like this in about a year. But Bill and Danny are doing engine work and Joe's on vacation. Jimmy gets gravy work. Now I'm gonna get the bottom together before I tighten those. And I leave this visibly up. So when I glance over it, rechecking everything, I know I haven't tightened them yet. But I just think without it attached, it's easy to manipulate all this stuff back in place. I thought it was gonna be a little more of a show than that. That was easy. I was a little concerned about the labor. Now I just feel like I'm a crybaby, because these aren't bad at all. You do have to raise the suspension up to that. Now that the pinch bolt's in, and it's not going anywhere. And before I do this, let's get the sway bar. Remember I told you I had to remember that? Alright, now we'll do this. Get the persuader. Also handy when your kids won't mow the lawn for you. Just kidding. On the ABS wire. Top bolts. This side's done. Got them both done in 40 minutes. Let's go on to them back shocks. 14s on the top and 19 on the bottom. Should be easy. Gotta transfer this mount over to the new shocks. I wonder how far the suspension might go. We'll see. I wonder if I might have to get some kind of a jack or something. But let's get that 19 off the bottom. Washer, 2 washers. Okay. That stud that it's on angles down. A little dancing out of there. I gotta transfer this over. Oh, are you kidding me? You turkeys. I'm gonna need a square drive or a shock socket. Let's see if we can force it. Ow! Don't smack the lug nut studs. That hurts. It loosened up a little. We could probably get it. Got it. Keep everything in order. Ooh, that thing's on there. It's growing. Keep watching. Little by little. This goes on there. This goes on next. And this one. And it's definitely got to go down further. That's what I was wondering. See how that does. Got to be able to get my nuts on, otherwise it's not right. There you go. Now we're cooking with bacon grease. There it goes. Now you can roll this to reposition it. The bump stop is gonna hold that up. Like that. Let's get it back in there. This tab faces out, I believe. Yeah, because it would hit the, looks like it hit the wheel well if I face it the wrong way. It's got to be fed onto my stud underneath. Just love taps, don't hit it hard. That's optimistic. Let's get a pry bar. Watch the family jewels if the pry bar lets go. I don't want to make the bolt do it all. I want to help the bolt a little bit so we don't damage the reds or anything. One side done. Begin alignment. Let's see if this car is going to be in there. I think it should be. Oh yeah. No optional wheel sizes. None of that nonsense. Some of the Corollas and stuff we work on, there'll be like 3 or 4 different wheel and tire sizes choices. But anyway, let's roll it forward for a compensation. It's been a while since I've done an alignment, a minute or two. And drive it forward very gently. Park. Now we'll do a caster sweep. My longtime viewers have seen plenty of alignments, but we got a lot of new subscribers the past couple months. I appreciate that support. And what I just did there is turn the wheels left and right so that the camber, it knows right off the bat. The caster is how much the camber, the axle rises and falls. When it turns right, the axle will rise. When it turns left, it'll fall. That's positive caster. Means the upper ball joint or the strut is laid back. If it's 2 degrees, that's how much inclination it'll have. SAI, steering axis inclination. This thing is mostly green except for the right rear. That caster, don't worry too much about that. I'm going to adjust the right rear. It's 0.55 positive, supposed to be about 0.1 or so. And then the left front, we might have to give a bump. Nice and big so we can see it from back there. That's where the magic happens right there. Let's turn on a little light for professionalism. Look at that. You're just not going to get better entertainment anywhere else. This is the lock nut. This will adjust it. I believe it's a 22 or maybe a 21. Yeah, it's a loose 22 or a won't fit 21. Since this wheel is towed in and the arm's behind the axle, I want to pull the arm in so the back of the tire goes in, right? Not sure if you can see that all the way up there, but I will crop it in. It's about a 1/4 of a turn. Something like that. Tighten this lock nut up. Yeah. Alright, on to the front. I think that's a 15/16. And the adjustment is about a 15 or 14. Alright. Shorten this tie rod to bring the back of the tire. 1/4 turn. Tighten my jam nut. Let's see. what kind of a wheel alignment we look at. If we hit print, it should show us the live caster. The caster's not adjustable either way, but it should show us live what it measured. Yeah, okay, it did measure it slightly off. I do not believe there's an adjustment on this. If the only way it would have an adjustment for caster is if there's a cam on the arm. This has bushings, there's no cam. Or if it had independent lower arms, one of them might be adjustable, but no adjustment for this one. And it's just barely red. That's going to be where it stays. It's not a problem. More casters, more stability, and higher steering effort. Less caster, less steering effort, a little harder. Caster is what basically, to kind of understand how the car lays back on the ball joint. The positive caster, the weight of the car lays on that, and it's called weight jacking. When you turn the wheel, the chassis forces against the caster. That's why when you let off your steering wheel, it tries to straighten itself. That's the caster. All right, the last thing I like to do is take my wheel lock off and make sure the wheel doesn't do anything weird, like go boing, because then I know it won't be straight going down the road. So I visibly can see a straight wheel. I can jiggle it a little bit. I'm just going back and forth, giving the wheel a little bump. When I get that perfectly centered or close to it, that's very, very close. Now we'll go in and look again. That wheel should be nice and straight going down the road. This was done. Short road test. We'll see what's next. I think I got the tune-ups approved on the Tahoe. Spark plugs and wires. He doesn't want to do the induction service, which to me is probably the most important part, but it'll run good when it leaves. We'll see how long it stays running good. Let's button this one up. 8 AC Delco Sparkies, 8 AC Delco wires. Comes with dielectric grease. I put it in there. They don't do it for you, sons of guns. At least the Chinese kids will do it for you. Are these made in China? They might be made in China. Kind of curious. I don't know why. Assembled in Mexico. Why isn't it made in Mexico? It just says assembled there. That's kind of strange. Maybe they make everything in China and then someone in Mexico puts it together and puts it in a box. It's a world economy. Stop complaining about it. Deal with it. I think I mentioned earlier, no induction service, which makes me a little sad. But we play the cards we're dealt. That thing was on there. The only problem I see, well, the wires that were on there are too long. There's two versions, short and long wires on these. Looks like it's supposed to have the short ones. We'll see if they reach when I get a new plug in the back. I think I'm also going to get my shorter ratchet. This ratchet's overkill, and it's not a ton of room back there. This rear plug I'm doing right now, I think from memory is the hardest one. It's been a little while since I tuned up a Chevy truck. Turn a few turns with the ratchet, then you put your big shiny head in front of the camera while you get it out of there. T-Rex arms don't help in this application, but we make do with what we got, man. There's nothing we can do about that. Come on, you gotta go. It's burning well, actually. That's what it's supposed to look like. So, spark plugs and wires aren't very exciting, but we do what we gotta do, man. You gotta gently find the hole the spark plug goes in without bending that ground electrode. Not a lot of room, as you can see. When we come back, I'll be putting the last plug in on the other side, and then we're going to try to find something exciting to do. We'll see how it runs afterwards too, of course. Wanted to come back and show you that that wire fits correctly. The other wires are a little too long, which isn't a big deal, but the shorter ones look a lot nicer. They're not doing loop-de-loops. Make sure these are all snapped on. Good. Alright, let's fire this thing up. Purring like a kitten. 3 of the plugs are not looking too good. 6 and 4, and then 7. So this engine's just burning oil. I put a driving light in the left side here too, which was pretty easy. 10mm bolts And there's a 10 in the wheel well on the headlight too. And it comes right out of there. So this one's done. I'm going to take her for a drive, get a bite to eat, and grab another car to fix. You remember this car? I think it was yesterday. I'm not sure if it was Friday or yesterday. I think it was yesterday. We got parts for it. We got belt, we got a thermostat, housing. I already popped the battery in so I could drive it in over here without having to put my jump box on it. So, it looks like the right parts and everything. Look at that monstrosity they made. Isn't that cool? It's like a spider assembly, but for coolant. Think if I pull the air box out of there, it practically falls out on its own. They better make up their minds which way is off. I see the bolt that it popped off of in the collision. This car was in a wreck, and that's why it broke the housing. But got that part out. Let's do more investigative work. Let's take that off, just in case there's something crazy going on underneath. I think it pushes into a rubber cover, but it just doesn't want to let go is all it is. I put some brake grease in the rubber grommets, so for the next person it'll come right out. It actually bent this bracket up before it released, but I got it to go. Got another one in here. I'm gonna have to get my short tool, see what size it is, holding it onto that housing. I think those are 8s. Really sharp. I don't recommend doing it this way. If you're going to put this housing back on, you're doing other work. But when you're replacing it, it's okay if you break more stuff. Break more stuff that you're replacing. Everything's 8mm on this whole job so far. The battery, the cooling system. Ugh. Two bolts on this, and I think it's just O-ring. Uh-oh. I did not think it was going to come right out that easy. Everything looks correct as far as the parts go. Make sure there's no dirt or any kind of debris in here. That little blue line from the old O-ring doesn't hurt anything. That should be pretty straightforward. I don't know why I thought this was going to be a lot harder. Some hoses. We're hoping this head gasket's in good shape, but there's no way really. You got to get the system closed up before you can even do a real test on it, but it doesn't run bad or smoke or anything. Even after I topped it off with water yesterday. I don't know why I feel compelled to put all the hoses on before I even do the clamps, but that's alright. You do what rocks your boat. It's not really terribly tight. I'll just keep an eye on those. Snapped in the finger. Ask me how I know. Last one. Some of these are going to need repositioning. You guys know I always like to put them back wherever it's printed on the hose. It kind of needs to go back to reduce the chances of leaking. It's hard to tell where that one was. See the mark down here? That's what I want. Now, oh, it's a little better when you lubricate everything. This car being in an accident messed up some stuff. The rubber grommet's gone from this. Gotta get that bracket where it goes.
I'm losing time. I'm losing shit that I gotta go and do. Taking myself off of this to go work on that.
It's alright, it's alright. I'm gonna get a free sandwich. I'm gonna free sandwich. That's a bummer. Get out of there, will you? I gotta put a trusty belt on it. And that belt is in a world of hurt. And that tensioner is also in a world of hurt. Let's see what we can do. Looks like a really wobbly 3/8 going on in there. See, the tensioner faces the wrong way, so we're gonna try to squeeze the belt out. I think this one will fit out from under it. Stop complaining, row your boat. That looks pretty good. Make sure that's on, that's on, that's on. If I can get this on. The problem's gonna be when I swing my ratchet over, it's gonna be over by the power steering. I gotta switch it. Oh. See? Complaining does do good. It went right on. All that moaning.
I was giving the whole explanation. We're gonna be spending money in this spot. We want to pull out $3 million out of this spot. And I'm looking around like, where the fuck do you see? How the fuck do you get $3 million? I mean, we can do it if you spend some money, and there ain't enough time. Because how do you expect somebody to come in? Like, come on, bro. We ain't got a facility. We got extension cords with lights. You can get away with certain shit like that because your techs are A1 and everything.
Rob put those lights up.
No.
Because it was dark in here. So we bought a bunch of extension cords and that light kit at Home Depot and started installing them on a big ladder. Probably get most of that out. Didn't originally have a bolt in there, but that's not how I roll. I found a little plastic bushing for that. It's not the correct, it's supposed to have rubber with a piece of metal inside. If you've seen them, looks like a little donut. But this will hold it. Now I just need coolant. I can't find the right coolant. Go5. Uh-oh. None of the dinosaur blood. It's gonna need a couple of quarts. We'll try 2 quarts to start and see how that goes. All right, 2 quarts in. Where are we at? See it? It's a quart low. So it's 3 quarts low. 1 more. While waiting on coolant, we're gonna look at this. Sweet, sweet 2011 Toyota Corolla. The trendsetter in the economy car market. Outsold the Volkswagen Bug not too long ago. #1 selling car in history. Toyota Corolla. Got a misfire. 211,809 miles. And the customer has replaced. Check engine lights on, hesitates a lot. Changed out the plugs, injectors, and coils, but nothing has changed. So right off the bat, I'm thinking compression, but I don't know. Let's take a look under the hood, see what's going on. Give it a love rating of 6. It's actually in pretty good shape. Vacuuming and a couple of little details would be higher than that. Let's see what's going on under the hood. It does have new paint on it, like Cono Bake or something painted it. Not terrible, actually. It doesn't look bad. It's all one color, which I see a lot of these that are like 2 or 3 colors, so that's pretty good. That looks like a new manifold, actually. See this injector O-ring compared to the others? That in itself is concerning. Whether that's his problem or not, I doubt it. These always break, as you guys might know. See red, yellow, tan, green, red, yellow, tan, black, red, yellow, tan, tan, red, yellow, tan, black with a tracer on it. I think that is. Oh, this one's black with a blue tracer. This one's black. So that third wire is your signal wire to each coil. All the rest of the wires are the same. Man, it's got new cam solenoids in it. My gracious goodness. Alright, at this point I'll be shocked if it's not compression, but let's get the scanner. See what we got for codes. See what we got, which cylinder's causing the biggest issues. If I have a code for cylinder 1, I don't have to pull out all 4 plugs. I'll probably pull out 1 and 2 and do a compression test, compare those cylinders, and then we'll see if we're on the right track with that. The auto fix took about an hour and a half to update, which that's not terrible. Our Wi-Fi is not the greatest and that kind of thing, so I do like the scanner. For anyone's wondering, no kickstand. It would probably be top 3 or my 4th favorite if it had a kickstand. I mean, it's a big deal. I can't do anything with this. I literally can't put it on the steering wheel. So I have to kind of set it somewhere, which it's not the end of the world, but nowadays in that market, it's got to be top shelf. You got to go the extra mile, and something like a couple of dollars invested in a kickstand I think is helpful. It doesn't determine whether it's a good scanner or not. It just determines how much Jimmy likes it. Like, as a matter of fact, right here we're just dealing with it not being in alphabetical order. So what you can do is it'll probably put the ones you use the most often up front, and you might notice Nissan, Lexus, Ford, GM, Kia, Hyundai, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Chevy, Aston Martin, Ferrari. I've never used this on an Aston Martin. I have used it on a Ferrari. I don't remember if I used this on a Lexus or not. I might have used it on that older Lexus a little while back. Toyota. Let's get these two talking, see what kind of codes we got, and we'll know what cylinders to focus on. This is all Autel. It's AutoFix, but it's an Autel brand. So if you're familiar with Autel software, then this scan tool will definitely suit you. 2009. Personally, this is the only Autel scanner I've owned, because I got Launch, Top Don, Ansel, and ThinkCar. And Launch is good. Our shop scanner's a Launch, the Maxisys Elite, I think it's called, but I don't use it. Joe likes to use it. I've got enough scanners. I don't need to use the shop scanner, and honestly, half the time you can't find it, or the battery's dead when you do find it, because it doesn't get put back on a charging stand very often. So I'm definitely not in the habit of trying to find that thing and hoping it's charged. So anyway, enough flapping, and we'll bring up engine data and take a look at that. Report is sent. Our codes are, the reports are pretty nice on this scan tool too. Hope that shows up. Pretty nice. Shows you the modules with no codes too. Pending current history. So cylinder 1 looks like our culprit. Cylinder 2 pending. So the computer will say, you know, 2 cylinders or 3 cylinders are misfiring, when in reality, when you bring up misfire data, one cylinder will have 180 misfires and one will have 17, and one will have 5. So you know that cylinder with a ton of misfires is forcing the erroneous misfires in the other cylinders because of the way that crankshaft mechanically works. So just so you know, you basically always want to look for the cylinder that's giving you the most misfires in your misfire data. So let's bring that up. Engine module controls the fuel injection, ignition timing, of course. Live data. It's either going to be under live data or special functions, I'm not sure. Every car is a little different, and I can't remember specific things like that about which car does what on which scan tool and all that kind of thing. So sometimes I'll do a little hunting and pecking. We'll find it though, don't worry. And I usually edit it down so you don't see how long it really took, because if it's agonizing for me, I could only imagine if someone's looking for entertainment or informative content or whatever it may be on YouTube. You don't want to see 100% of the struggle. If this takes me 10 minutes, you don't want to watch me scrolling and flapping for 10 minutes, right? So I'm going to edit it down to show you 20-30 seconds of the struggle. You get a little taste of what I'm experiencing. All right, let me find these misfires, because I'm definitely not familiar with Autel. Like I said, this is my only Autel scanner. I'm going to find the misfires and we'll come back. It's quite interesting that they're not M, A, M, C, So here we are as a Misfires. It's not in alphabetical order at all. Show selected. Start it up. Now you can watch one counting like crazy. Graph. Make it bigger. Alright. With the engine speed higher, it's not as bad. Now let's see when this thing comes down what it does. Now it's not misfiring so bad. Isn't that interesting? I did touch those coil connectors, remember that? Could we be on to something from that? It's interesting. This thing was running terrible. All of a sudden it's running pretty decent. No one mentioned anything about intermittent. So maybe when I touched something, I fixed something. Let's do this. 100, 301, 302, race codes. Read codes. No codes. Bring the misfire data back up to see if we can get this thing to misfire again. It's accidentally fixed. No charge. That is strange. That's not good. They've been deep into this thing. I don't know what I fixed or if it's just a coincidence that I jiggled some of these wires and it's running good. I don't know. The idle's a little high. On these Toyotas, you got to put them in gear and hold your foot on the brake. Sit there a few minutes and it'll learn the idle a little better. It's idling like 1100. Can't have that. Let's go like this. See if we get misfires. Sometimes you have like a valve seat problem. It'll misfire at lower speeds and not at higher speeds when it's just starting to burn a valve or have a seat go bad. But, you know, that's just hunches and hyperbole. Very interesting. I'm going to try to get this idle to come down a little bit, see if it runs worse. But when I first started this up cold, it was idling high and misfiring and shaking all over the place. It was so bad I wouldn't take it out on the road to drive it, that's for sure. And right now we've got 0 misfires. I could feel a little roughness right now, like as far as a motor mount or something like that maybe, but not a misfire. I'm going to hold this idle for a few minutes, see if it'll bring that idle speed down a little bit, and we'll try to figure something out. One of the things I like about this tool, I don't remember seeing this data in other scan tools, not in this location at least. You can check monitors, but this one shows it in the data. Like I'm scrolling through here looking at my data, looking for things like temperature, fuel trims, and you can see enable, monitor, component monitor, complete, fuel system monitor, complete, misfire monitor, complete. That's pretty cool that I can see that it's done my misfire monitor satisfactorily, but I'm not setting the misfire code now. EGR, VVT monitor completed. That's pretty cool. I'm just sitting here poking around while I'm waiting for this thing to run bad and relearn the idle, and it's not doing either, but we got time. Well, that seems to be about the lowest we can get this idle. It's been running a good 15 minutes or so now, maybe a little longer. No misfires, not a single one. But I brought up my fuel trims, which you can see it's a little rich. It's adding fuel short term and removing it long term. It's been fluctuating from 6 to 10% adding. I can jiggle everything I want, all I want. I might get some dollar bills out of it, but I won't duplicate the problem. Let's go back. Reduce our data. I'm going to reduce it just to fuel trim and see if I can figure out the fuel correction, if there's a vacuum leak somewhere in a gasket or something like that. Something definitely going on there. Get some soapy water and try that. Less danger of fire. One thing I am seeing on the fuel trim is
I know.
very strange. going on down in Purge Town. Unless this hose is split or something. I feel a crack in the hose here, but it doesn't feel like it goes all the way down. Let's see here. I can definitely change the fuel trims clamping off the purge valve. Not a big difference though, but it is making a difference. That fuel trim is definitely getting a little better. Something going on with this hose, I'm thinking. Well, look how happy that idle is. Had it running now about 45 minutes. Fuel trim's weird. Something weird's going on with the purge valve intermittently, because I'm blocking it off. It's not making any difference. I first blocked it off. It went into negative fuel trims instead of adding. It's also the long term went from 16.4 down to 12.5, still subtracting, while the short term is still adding a little bit. But it seems to me like it's kind of finding its balance now. As the idle comes down, it seems like it's quite a bit better. I'm going to make sure this thing has a legit tag on it, take it for a little drive, and we'll pick back up on it tomorrow if I get it to misfire again or do something weird. I have to make sure the oil's full and take it for a drive. Button this thing up, and if any more comes of it, I'll show you that tomorrow. So thanks for watching today's video. I appreciate you spending some time with me. Hope you enjoyed it enough to torque the like button before you head out. I enjoyed your company. I hope I see you in the next one, because you're awesome.